Jai Hind friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you watching the fresh news of the day. The Pakistanis have released a policy and they say that this policy will help Pakistan get in $20 to $25 billion worth of investments. Now, if you ever look at Pakistani media or Pakistani YouTubers who keep on asking opinions of people on the streets, Pakistanis, whenever they are asked, why is India progressing? Why has India managed to get industry of the world to India? Why is India manufacturing for the world? And why are the Indians, how have the Indians managed to make India the fifth largest economy in the world? All the Pakistanis have one standard answer, and that is India's policies. Essentially, a policy is a piece of paper that the government says that this is the way forward and people agree upon, right? And of course, a policy is important. But I think in the long run, if Pakistan thinks that simply by typing a few lines on a piece of paper and saying that this is how we'll become rich, that is not how things happen. And this is exactly what Pakistan thinks should happen, because policies have been made in Pakistan before. This is not the first time these policies are being made. Ayub Khan had his own policies, Musharraf had his own policies, Nawaz Sharif had his own policies, and there is no dearth of policy making in Pakistan. The problem with Pakistan is not policy. The problem with Pakistan is execution of policy. So Pakistan will never execute a policy properly, and it does not understand that there is a certain grammar to the policy. There is a certain ecosystem to the policy. And when I say ecosystem, what I mean, my friends, is this, that an environment is created for investment. So we are talking about safety and security of man, material, infrastructure, everything. That is number one. Number two, political instability in Pakistan. So unless political instability is achieved, unless the army says that we are not going to interfere in politics or we are not going to interfere in the running of the country, Pakistan will never be successful. And this irrational fear of India, that India will gobble us up and these, a billion plus Hindus are there to fight with us and take over our country. This sort of irrational fear which they have in mind is stopping Pakistanis from progress. Of course, religious radicalization, hardcore radicalization in Pakistan. So in Pakistan, there are more terrorists than engineers. So how does a country like that, Pakistan may be the world leader in blowing up stuff, but certainly not in making stuff. And nobody is going to invest in Pakistan, so that you can blow it up. This is not to sound frivolous, but just to explain that Pakistan is not known for its engineering strength, with which we come to manpower, with which we come to human resource. Now, what is Pakistan's human resource known for? Like, for example, India's human resource, while India is great at manufacturing, India is great at so many things, but essentially we are known for information technology. That is India's claim to fame, IT. And the world knows India. So how does the world see Pakistan? How does the world know Pakistan? This is something that the Pakistanis must understand and, try to reform within their society if they want. Investment is like, let's call it a crop or a plant. It grows under certain climatic conditions. There have to be certain weather conditions, certain climatic conditions for a certain plant to grow, right? You can't have, for example, you can't have a mango tree in the middle of Siberia. It doesn't happen like that. Or you can't have a pine tree in the middle of the Sahara. It won't happen, it won't survive. You can plant it, it won't survive. Similarly, you can't have investment in Pakistan, it will not survive. Many have tried, many have failed, and not one single investment in Pakistan of any foreign country has grown, and Pakistan must analyze. It has been, it was created 75 years back. And Pakistanis must, which is the company, foreign company that has come, which has done business in Pakistan for 20, 30 years and has really survived and made a lot of money, created a lot of value for its shareholders and, growing and growing for decades upon decades. Can Pakistanis name 2-3 companies? No. There are only certain families in Pakistan who are into real estate and other such matters who have really grown. They keep on creating these apartments and these shopping complexes. But apart from that, I'm talking about technology, I'm talking about engineering, I'm talking about services. Has any company come, to Pakistan and said that, okay, we'll grow with Pakistan and let's grow together? No. Because Pakistan lacks the simple ecosystem. It lacks the environment, it lacks the human resource, perhaps. And my Pakistani friends are going to be very upset about this. It even lacks the talent to do anything about it. Now, Prime Minister Modi is going to France, and with him, he's carrying these whole lot of Indian CEOs. And there, Prime Minister Modi will sit down in France and then speak to a lot of French CEOs. So why is this happening? There is this people to people and business to business connect that Prime Minister Modi is pitching for. He did the same thing, when he was in the United States of America. He met, with him, I think, as part of the Indian contingent, you had Mukesh Ambani, you had Anand Mahindra, and you had so many other people who had gone there, and they attended the dinner also, they spoke business, etc. And we had Jeff Bezos and Tim Cook and so many other these corporate hotshots and corporate honchos come over in India and discuss business with the Indians. Now, here is a typical case in point as to why this is important. And this is important simply because the more countries do business together, the more reliance there is on one another, So there'll be millions of Indians who will be working for French companies, and then there'll be millions of French people who are working for Indian companies, right? India will invest in France, France will invest in India, and vice versa. And this is how countries get closer. It's not a simple function of writing a check and buying stuff from France, or France writing a check and buying stuff from India. No, that is not how it works. There has to be close interconnectivity between people, between businesses, between commerce. And that is how relationships between the countries grow. And another major step, it's come to light that the Indian Navy wants to procure 26 Rafale aircrafts for its aircraft carrier. Now, this is the Rafale M version, which is the naval version for aircraft carriers. And I think this will go a long way in creating a certain ecosystem in India. 36 Rafales are already with the Indian Air Force, and the IAF is extremely happy with the performance of the Rafales. In fact, those Rafales of the Indian Air Force are now going to take part in the Bastille Day parade, which is happening in France, for which Prime Minister Modi is essentially going to France. Having said that, Rafales for the Indian Navy, which essentially means that slowly but surely there is a Rafale ecosystem being created in India. And we have to create this ecosystem simply because we do not know when the Ukraine-Russia war will end. And I think even after the war has ended, let's assume it ends in a year or another 6 months, Russia is going to take years and years to build its own equipment, because Russia has suffered terrible losses in Ukraine. Those losses have been terrible. And it needs to recoup its own losses and make up for its losses, make up for its damaged equipment. And that is going to take years for Russia, because this is not something that can be done overnight. This is not a packet of biscuits or chips. We're talking about tanks, we're talking about artillery, we're talking about rifles. And this takes money, investment. It takes a lot of inputs to get these things on track. And Russia is going to spend the next few years after the war ends into making up for this equipment. So where does India get world-class equipment from? From America and from France, and of course, our trusted friends, Israel. So India is doing that. India is asking for transfer of technology. India is saying, we want Rafales. And this is going to happen because I believe Dassault Aviation is already in talks with DRDO for trying to figure out, design of the aircraft and all that. And maybe some of the parts of this Rafale Navy, I'm guessing, this has not been told categorically, but this is my analysis that, maybe they'll be made in India. Some parts could be made in India, which can easily be made in India. And otherwise, India could also give a larger order for Rafales and then say that, let's say, for example, India gives order for 50 or 100 Rafales. India says all of these are to be made in India. Rafale sets up a factory in India, and there is a joint partnership. And then both these companies try and make the Rafale together. This could also be one of the scenarios that we're looking for. So bright days ahead for Indian defense, Indian industry. And thank you for watching this video. And if you like this video, please press like. Jai Hind.